There is a lot to like about Cannon Beach. You know, people often ask me, Paul, what is your favorite Oregon coast town? And although I have a lot of them, they all, kind of have their own unique feel and environment and, kind of pros and cons about them. I have a hard time holding back the urge to say Cannon Beach anytime I'm asked that question. So in this video, we're going to talk about the pros and yes, the cons of living in Cannon Beach, and we're getting into it right now. Hey, what's up everybody? This is Paul Clem with the Home Team Brokers coming to you from the Oregon coast. And if this is your first time to the channel living on the Oregon coast, make sure to hit the subscribe button and tap the little bell icon to make sure that you're notified every time we drop a new video. And we get people reaching out to us all the time who are thinking about buying a second home or vacation home or relocating to the Oregon coast, and we love to hear from you. So if you're thinking about buying a house at the Oregon coast, give us a call, send us a text, shoot us an email, even schedule a Zoom call in the description below in this video. However you decide to get a hold of us, we have your back when it comes to moving to the Oregon coast. All right, so Cannon Beach, Oregon. Like I mentioned, one of my absolute favorite towns on the Oregon coast. There's so much to like, but there's definitely some things about the town that some people, just may not favor for whatever reason. And we're gonna go through those pros and cons in this video. So Cannon Beach is on the northern Oregon coast. It is just west of Portland. So if you hit Highway 26 going west in Portland, you're going to get to Seaside first. And then about 10-15 miles south, you can get right into Cannon Beach. So it's right there, a straight shot from Portland, making it one of the biggest tourist destinations on the Oregon coast. And it does get crowded. It is a very popular place, but as you'll see why in this video, it's no surprise that that's the case. So if you're from Oregon or if you've ever visited the Oregon coast, you're probably familiar with Haystack Rock because you've either been there, seen photos of it, but it's definitely one of the most visited and photographed areas or landmarks on the Oregon coast, and it's right there in Cannon Beach. So it's kind of the anchor in terms of the scenery that you have in Cannon Beach as a whole. You also have things like Ecola State Park. You have Hug Point to the south. So there's a lot of natural areas, a lot of very scenic areas surrounding Cannon Beach as well. So just another reason why it's one of the top tourist towns and top places to be really on the Oregon coast. And because of all of that and a lot of other things that we'll discuss in this video, Cannon Beach, Oregon was actually named in 2013. So yeah, about 7 or 8 years ago now. It was named as one of the top 100 most beautiful places in the world. So, Cannon Beach really does kind of encompass everything the Oregon coast has to offer. One of the more unique attributes of the town is that it is very small. So it's very well organized, very well laid out, very clean. The population is just about 1,500 people there. So, you're not getting some of these more sprawling cities with, different neighborhoods and things like that, like you get in like a Lincoln City or an Astoria or a Newport, Oregon, for example, or some of the places down south like Coos Bay, North Bend, that area. Cannon Beach is a very small town. So let's get right into this list. The first thing on the list, we're gonna start with the pros. And number one is, like I mentioned, Cannon Beach is a small town. It is very walkable. You can walk from one side of town to the other in probably about 30 to 45 minutes if you count kind of the southern neighborhood, which is Tullavana Park, which is a little more residential. There's some coffee shops and a couple restaurants down there. Really kind of the main core downtown area of Cannon Beach, you're really looking at more like, 10 to 15 minute walk from end to end. And this is where you have all your shops, your galleries, your boutiques, your bars, your restaurants, your coffee shops, all of the great things that you can find in an Oregon coast town, but very concentrated in just a very cute little downtown area, and amongst the best offerings across the board with all these things, really about as good as it gets on the Oregon coast. So it's very walkable in the kind of the stretch of downtown, as well as the residential areas on both sides of the street. So you have some beachside homes, and then you have some homes that are on the opposite end of the street as well. But even if you're on the kind of the eastern side of the street, you're looking at a 3, 5, 7 minute walk, depending on where you're at, to the beach. So anywhere you're at in town, whether you are in downtown Cannon Beach or Tolovana Park, again, which is a neighborhood a little further to the south, you're talking about being able to access, on foot, walking to the beach very easily from really anywhere you would live or be staying in Cannon Beach. So next on the list, like I had alluded to, it's very clean and very well planned. So I think, part of being a small town definitely gives Cannon Beach the benefit of kind of keeping things in order. Just the overall layout of the town, and how accessible everything is, again, how walkable everything is, that's really, by and large due to the layout of the town itself. So, it doesn't sprawl to the east up to Highway 101 where, you have to get in your car to drive to go out to dinner, or, maybe more importantly, drive to get to the beach. Everything is right in this downtown area. And it was clearly planned to be, a real true beach town. So the layout is great. Again, it's very clean, and just very well organized overall. Okay, next on the list, Cannon Beach has as good of a culinary scene as you can find anywhere on the Oregon coast. I mean, you have restaurants that rival that of some of the restaurants in the Portland area, which obviously has a nationally and world-renowned food scene. So, there's some restaurants that aren't cheap, but, you're getting, again, some of the best food that you can find on the Oregon coast. There is really a pretty good range. There are kind of some divier places, bars, where you can get chowder and fish and chips, and then there's kind of some mid-level places, really anywhere you can get fish and chips and chowder. But you have kind of the middle ground area where you're looking at maybe $15 to $20 plates depending on what you're getting, and then you have places where you could go spend 50, 60, 75 bucks easily on, say, a dinner. So there are some fancier places. There are just kind of your standard, places for lunch and dinner. And then you have more kind of the fast food types. Although in Cannon Beach, you're not going to find any fast food. And that's the next thing on our list. Cannon Beach discourages big box stores, national chains, things like that, from being in the city limits. So you're not going to find, a Walmart, you're not going to find a McDonald's, you're not going to find things like that, that you can find maybe in some other towns on the Oregon coast. And primarily the reason for this is to keep the town and what the town offers, really local, and kind of support local businesses and support local vendors. And that's something that, you don't have to spend too much time in the town to get a feel for how much they support their local businesses and their local business owners. Another great thing about Cannon Beach, it is rated as one of the best cities or towns on the Oregon coast for crime. So according to niche.com, I think it has a score of A-. So, kind of the per capita rate, and granted, the population of the town is 1,500, but you get hundreds of people coming in every week, maybe more depending on the time of year, who are tourists. So there are a lot of people coming in and out of town, but the crime's just not there. So, however you rate safety kind of on your list in terms of what you're prioritizing and what you're looking for in an Oregon coast town, just know that Cannon Beach is one of the best towns in terms of having a low crime rate. All right, so next on the list, we talked about the accessibility to the beach and kind of everything being so well laid out and well planned, and the accessibility to some of the state parks and scenic areas to the north and to the south. Well, it's also really accessible to Portland. So if you're moving to the Oregon coast, but you want to be closer to Portland, whether, it's because you want to be closer to the airport, or you have friends and family there, or you just want to kind of get out to the big city every once in a while, you're looking at under an hour and a half, maybe hour and 15 minutes, depending on the time of day, and how traffic is, between Portland and Cannon Beach. Now, In the summertime, on the weekends, traffic can get a little heavy on Highway 26, going kind of to and from Portland. So, you might want to map that out. You might want to look at the traffic before you leave, but it is very close. Actually, one of the closest towns to Portland on the Oregon coast. So we can't really talk about the pros and cons of any town on the Oregon coast without talking about housing. Now, the median home price in Cannon Beach is pushing $790,000 as of now. That is way higher than a lot of towns on the Oregon coast. And the conditions that create that, really inflated price are probably mostly due to scarcity. Because there are only so many homes in Cannon Beach and it's such an awesome, desirable area, that really props up home values quite a bit. There are some, really big luxury homes in Cannon Beach, but it's not all like that. And it's not all $1 million, $2 million homes necessarily, but homes are way more expensive in Cannon Beach than they are really anywhere on the Oregon coast. So the benefit of that might be if you do invest in property in Cannon Beach, whether it's your full-time residence or some kind of income property, vacation rental, or second home, because of the scarcity and because of the demand for Cannon Beach, it's pretty reliable that that's going to continue to bump up over time because the demand is there and there's only so many houses in Cannon Beach. Now on the other side of that, of course, is homes are not very affordable. So depending on what your budget is, Cannon Beach could be kind of an aspirational type area and might be the perfect area for you, but a lot of people probably do get priced out of Cannon Beach because the cost of real estate there. Now, what I like to tell people is that if you absolutely love Cannon Beach, maybe look up toward the seaside area, which is really close, just north, or down towards, say, like Manzanita, which is still a little bit higher than average, but is very close to Cannon Beach, and you might be able to find something a little more affordable there. All right, so moving on to some of the more negative aspects of Cannon Beach. My biggest gripe with Cannon Beach, and you'll find this up and down the Oregon coast, but Cannon Beach in particular, I've ran into this several times, is everything closes early and you're going to be dealing with winter hours. So, because it is a town that is propped up so much by tourism, businesses are only going to stay open when the people are coming. So in the winter, you might find businesses, restaurants, things like that are open, maybe Wednesday through Sunday, or Thursday through Sunday. And it seems like everywhere closes at 7 p.m., 8 p.m. You'd be lucky, to get maybe 9 p.m. Probably a couple of bars stay open till 10, but it does become kind of limiting when, you have all these great offerings, but depending on the time of year, and things like that, your favorite restaurant, you might not be able to go to because it's closed. I was actually just in Cannon Beach a couple of weeks ago, and it was me, my wife, my daughter, and we had gotten into town a little bit late. We wanted to get dinner. It was like 6:45, and we ended up going through like 10 different places on a Google search before we found a place that was open where we could get dinner. So another time I was in Cannon Beach just with my wife celebrating our anniversary, which is New Year's Eve. And we just wanted to find a bar somewhere that we could go that was open at midnight. And it took us about an hour to find that. And finally we found a bar, and we were able to sit outside and watch the fireworks that people were setting off on the beach, and it was a great time. But in terms of convenience and things being open, that is something you're up against a little bit, again, understandably, because businesses aren't going to be open or stay open if people aren't walking in their door. And so next on the list, and really kind of on the flip side of things closing early and things not being open every day, is Cannon Beach can get really busy, in particular because it is close to Portland and it is such a small town. Everyone wants to go there, and during the busier times of year, summertime, weekends, holidays, things like that, the sidewalks are crowded. The main street is crowded with traffic, lines are long, stores are crowded, so that's something that you just need to expect if you're going to Cannon Beach, kind of regardless of the purpose. But if you were thinking about living in Cannon Beach, in particular full time, just know that you have these, really kind of dead periods, and then you have these periods of time where the town is, jam-packed with people. That can probably provide kind of a cool element, where you get a little peace and quiet sometimes, and then it's bustling and lively, at other times. But it's definitely something that, you'll see up and down the coast, but it's really kind of amplified in Cannon Beach because of the size, because it's so popular, because it's so close to Portland. And so speaking of the size of the town, the physical size of the town in terms of the footprint, next on the list is also the population size. So again, you do get a lot of people coming into Cannon Beach on a regular basis, but in terms of full-time residents, you're looking at 1,500 people. So, that's about the size of my graduating high school class. And, over time, you spend, a certain amount of time with, even 1,500 people. I'm sure everybody kind of knows everybody. And whether that is a pro, a con, if you're looking for a town where you can kind of just fit in and go with the flow, and maybe have a little more people, Cannon Beach might not be the one. If you're looking for a smaller, tight-knit community where you kind of get to know a lot of people and there's probably a little more town gossip, I would think, Cannon Beach might be a good place for you, but certainly a consideration. And, there are things that you just don't get in a town with a population that's so small. Okay, so another potential downside, and something you'll hear us talk about really for any town on the Oregon coast, is the weather. And so if you're coming from somewhere like California, or Arizona, Phoenix, something like that, a place where it's sunny all the time, doesn't rain a lot, or it rains just for, very quick amount of time, the Oregon coast is going to be night and day difference. And so you've probably heard us talk about this in most of our other videos, but in particular, the northern Oregon coast kind of bears the brunt of the rain, and the central Oregon coast too, but it can get gloomy. It can be, overcast for weeks at a time. You have kind of a mist, a coastal mist, kind of a light rain in the air at all times for, months in a row. And on one hand, that is something that brings people to the Oregon coast. It's kind of a moody feel. It's so different than just getting blasted by sun every day. You get to see the seasons change, but if you're not prepared for it, it's definitely something that you want to take into account. A region like where Cannon Beach is, gets somewhere around twice the amount of rain some years than even Portland. So you've heard Portland is rainy. The Oregon coast is that much worse, or better, depending on how you look at it, but you're not getting like crazy downfall rain all the time. It is more of a mist. Temperatures are pretty mild, but it doesn't get too warm, so you're probably wearing a coat or a sweatshirt, 8 or 9 months out of the year. So that might be something that is bringing you to the Oregon coast, but something I have to mention, and it's generally looked at as something that is a little more as a negative when it comes to living at the Oregon coast. So that concludes our list of pros and cons of living in Cannon Beach, Oregon. A couple of things I forgot to mention. If you did want to look at a town like Seaside or Gearhart, for example, there is a shuttle between Seaside and Cannon Beach. So making it even easier to get down to the area on a regular basis if you wanted to, maybe go out to dinner, have a few drinks, or and not worry about driving. That option can be on the table with that shuttle that exists. There's also a beach just north of Cannon Beach called Crescent Beach, which does tend to get far fewer people. So generally the rule of thumb, like we talked about, Haystack Rock is kind of the postcard picture of Cannon Beach, if not really of the northern Oregon coast or the Oregon coast as a whole. The further away you get from Haystack Rock, generally the less crowded it is. So the beaches in Cannon Beach stretch really far north and south, and there are areas that you could get to that would be kind of less populated with tourists and just have a little more privacy, a little freedom, a little more room to breathe. And last little point that I'll make on Cannon Beach is the median age is 44. A lot of towns up and down the Oregon coast, you're looking at 50 plus, 55 plus, 58 plus. And so that does tend to skew a little bit younger than other towns on the Oregon coast. So depending on your age, depending on what you're looking for in a town, you know, that's certainly a consideration. And I don't know if you could look at that as a pro or a con, but you know, something that's probably worth mentioning, and you'll probably hear us talk about it again in other videos we do about Cannon Beach. And if you are thinking about buying a home, even selling a home in Cannon Beach, give us a call, send us a text, shoot us an email. Again, schedule a Zoom call in the description of this video. We can set up a quick call, talk about areas that you're interested in, talk about what areas might suit you best. Maybe Cannon Beach isn't a good fit, maybe it is number one on your list, but once we are able to have a conversation and talk about kind of what your priorities are and what you're looking for in an Oregon coast town, we can create a short list and then start looking at actual homes for sale. So we'd love to talk about what you're looking for. So make sure you get in touch. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, hit the little button to make sure you're notified every time we drop a new video. Hope you enjoyed the pros and cons of Cannon Beach. And until next time, we'll talk to you later.